Take a look at the images on these sets. They're cleaner, crisper, sharper, and wider, more like a movie screen than a normal TV. But it's these lifelike pictures that have some people really worried.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Michelle Dawn Mooney. Topping our news tonight, it looks
Take
like
Atlantic City TV news anchor Michelle Dawn Mooney. Her skin looks flawless on regular set, but in high def,
the details that this is supposed to really bring out, it is kind of concerning for me.
That's where makeup artist Marianne Skiba comes in.
I think any makeup artist worth their blush brush is not going to be able to resist the challenge of high definition.
Marianne uses an airbrush to compensate for the unforgiving eye of the HD TV, spraying a fine line of liquid makeup onto Michelle's skin.
You can get the coverage that you need, but because you're spraying these thousands of tiny little dots of paint on the face.
But as artists like Marianne find ways to conquer the pixels,
we thank you for joining us this morning. Now stay tuned for more of the Today Show.
Those on TV will scramble to stay picture perfect or end up looking just like the rest of us, a little too real. But researchers here have come up with a system that tells which players are taking big hits and may be at a risk for concussions. A player's helmet is fitted with 6 sensors to measure impacts in terms of G-forces. When a player's on the field, the sensors transmit data to a sideline laptop where it's evaluated seconds after a tackle.
Loss of 4 on the play.
If it's abnormal, if it's above 150 Gs, I will let the medical team know that there was an abnormally large hit and they will keep an eye on the player.
Scientists hope the system helps them understand which impacts carry the highest risk for a concussion.
What type of exposure do players see? Does it vary by position? Does it vary by player performance, the way they tackle, the way they hit?
When the signature red neon sign comes on, people from all around know exactly what time it is.
9 dozen glaze?
Yeah. May sound like a lot, but it's a piece of cake, literally. Every day, Krispy Kreme makes more than 7 million donuts, with technology marching along every step.
It's almost as if the donut's growing before your eyes, drops into the bath and is fried, and then goes through the glazer. And
remember the old slogan, time to make the... Okay, I know it's a different company, but at Krispy Kreme it's the same thing. When they make their donuts, it's called Donut Theater, and all the equipment in a factory store is the same. So a donut in your town tastes the same as it does right here in North Carolina.
It's because the technology has been designed to be repeatable and reliable. So, and we don't have to be space age necessarily in that technology. We just have to be pragmatic.
Good morning, Miss Harris.
We're all used to our doctor's bedside manner. But what if the next time you're laid up in the hospital, this is what ends up beside your bed?
Good morning once again.
Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore is testing the Dr. Robot.
All right, can I take a peek at your belly?
Now, another time Dr. Robot will come in handy is say your physician's on vacation, but you go into an emergency surgery. Of course, you're going to want to see your physician, and now, thanks to Dr. Robot, your doctor can check on you from just about anywhere in the world. Say ah!
They weren't true, and it was hard for me to accept that, so I couldn't just take the charges.
Brent turned to Harrisburg lawyer and former police officer Michael Sheldon.
To travel that road at 70 miles an hour, you'd be an absolute idiot to do that. Well, it is a 45-mile-an-hour zone, but on one side of the road are horses, on the other side are cattle.
A state police radio expert testified that the Genesis radar gun used the night Brent was ticketed sometimes malfunctions when it's plugged into the cigarette lighter of a 2003 or 2004 Ford Crown Victoria, the primary patrol car used by the state police.
The Crown Victoria has got so much aftermarket equipment that the battery can't handle the power. The alternator is constantly running, and that alternator hum is interpreted through the electrical system as a signal. The Genesis radar system interprets that signal as a speed.
State police say numbers can flash up on the display, but only when the unit is not being used to measure speed.
But when speed is being measured and the trigger is pulled on the unit, there is an internal override that will override all of the interference and give you an accurate reading.
An argument attorney Michael Sheldon doesn't buy.
You take the Genesis radar system and you operate it independently, it's fine. You take the Crown Victoria, you operate it independently, it's fine. Put them both together and something is not working well.
As for Brent and his attorney, they have one piece of advice.
You get a traffic ticket that's Genesis radar oriented, fight the ticket.
Charvi Patel's social world is all about instant messaging and email, a quick way of communicating with its own shorthand. The letter R for the word R, the number 2 for the word two. And it's probably not too surprising that her electronic slang finds its way into her schoolwork.
I use email and IM every day, so it's a lot to go back and forth and to remember that I have to use proper grammar here and I can't use abbreviations.
It's a trend teachers are not wildly happy about.
If you're writing a standard English paper and it's supposed to be formal English, you should use standard English. And the slang and the computer jargon isn't necessarily appropriate for those types of things.
Go. Sir, don't take your hands off the wall. Okay.
Police in Wilmington, Delaware want to cut the city's high crime rate.
Out the back.
They're sweeping poor, mostly African-American neighborhoods, jumping from unmarked vans to stop people caught in infractions like loitering or drinking in public. Officers snap offenders' pictures and collect their personal information and place it all in a police database, even if they aren't charged with a crime.
They were warned. That's the reason why we took their information down and we took their photograph.
Since June, police have taken more than 600 photos, adding 40 to 50 new ones each week. The idea is to prevent crime by predicting who might commit it. Critics of the Delaware program are outraged, saying the stops and database take the concept of crime prevention too far.
You know, Hitler did this stuff too.
When Andre Agassi slams his racket into a tennis ball traveling at 100 miles an hour, intense vibrations travel from the racket's frame into its handle and then into his hand, wrist, and arm. He's using a racket designed to cut the vibration and give him more control.
I feel like it added a little extra stick to my game without compromising my control, so I felt pretty good about it.
The racket is a head-eye radical. It has specially designed fibers in the frame to dampen the impact of ball on racket.
They've changed it to electrical impulses, and electrical impulses don't have vibration. So this racket that I'm playing with is about 50% less vibration in the racket.
That means less energy flowing into a player's wrist and arm and a reduced chance of injuries like tennis elbow. Head has come up with another innovation, too.
Yeah, the racket I'm playing with has the first racket ever invented with a microchip in the handle, and that basically, good shot, that basically transfers the energy in the handle 10 times faster back to the head, so it's a very powerful racket.
The microchip instantaneously reads the impact of the ball on the string bed and instructs the frame to adjust.
As the frame starts bending and twisting, this microchip sends it back up and says, stop that twisting, and it's going to result in a stiffer frame, which means more power.
We could see it on the tour.
Never against moving into the next millennium. You know, I need to do something to keep things firing, and I'm never against technology, at least trying it.
He doesn't need it. Some players do. Kerry Nurenburg, Tech TV.